Hey guys, um, as I said, I don't really mean to turn this into a health channel. Um, it's still a witchy channel, um, but I guess I can talk about our health things too. Uh, First of all, I'm a doctor, okay? Um, I am an ACMA. Have been in nursing my entire life. I'm now 55. I've been in there since I was 15, literally. So I know a little bit. So whatever I say to y'all on here, make sure you do your own research, like with anything in any video you watch. Um, Most of what I will share with you, I've learned either through books, videos, job experiences, or my own personal health experience. Um, the reason for this video is because I had an email about to talk more about my heart attack. um, and why it's so important that you uh, well, it's just really important that you keep your health checkups. You the reason being, guys, is because I had no symptoms. Okay, none. um, I did have high blood pressure for years before my heart attack. um, Now, granted, most people don't take their blood pressures, okay? Some of you don't even know how. Of course, nowadays you've got your wrist cuffs, uh, because it's not easy to take. There's no way you could do it with a sphygmometer. Sphygmometer. I've always had trouble saying that word. Your regular pump up blood pressure cuff with a stethoscope. Um, it's just almost impossible for one person to do all that to themselves. So we've got wrist cuffs and all that. A lot of it, guys, is knowing your family history. Okay, I never knew really any of my family history. Um, for one, they were all, well, pretty much, dead before I was even born. As far as the elder generation, I had uh, and then we were all, my whole family is just we were all so split up and separated that nobody knew what anybody was doing, much less what their health issues were. So anyway, I'm going all along, and guys, I'm telling y'all, I was overall a very healthy person. Now I'd get hurt or I'd have acute stuff like my gallbladder and all that. Like I said, I think I've told y'all this before, but I would honestly have never thought that I was about to have a heart attack. uh, and I mean, I was tired a lot, but I used to work a lot. You know, um, I'd work 12, 16-hour shifts, sometimes three in a row. I mean, you try to pull three 16-hour shifts, yeah, I'm tired. uh, so with no symptoms except for the high blood pressure. Um, and when I say high, guys, when I would check it, it would be 170 over 101. I mean, high. Okay. But I just didn't go to doctors. I really had no reason to. I don't know why. A lot of it probably had to do with money. Um, Unfortunately, that's what it boils down to. And that's why people don't get proper health care, is because they just can't afford it. I know I've worked in it. I've had to be in it. I know how much all that stuff costs. It's just not good. Um, but that's a whole other story and something I can't do anything about. But uh, that day I had worked. I worked the 6 to 2 shift that day. Got off and went to a friend of mine's house for dinner. He had made me some steaks and what have you. I had went by there, but I wasn't really hungry. I remember that. But that happens when you're tired. You're not hungry. And I was tired, but like I said, I'd been up since 4 o'clock that morning and worked all day, and it wasn't anything unusual. So, Lexi, come here. Come here and stop it. You stop that. Sorry, she gets in there and she can't stand doors shut. She has to try to open them. But anyway, so I had been over to my friend's house, and I just got to where I just didn't really, want to eat. So, and I had another friend that had come up to visit me at my house. So I just went on home. And uh, later on that evening, I started getting a little bit hungry. So my friend ordered pizza. And I'm sitting there at the table, and I think I ate probably half a piece of pizza, and I had my salad. And I just got so tired, so sleepy, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, or about probably 8 at this time. And I thought, well, I'm just going to go to bed early. I felt terrible because I had company, but he knew I had to work, and I just had one more day on my rotation, and then I was going to be off 2 days. So I thought, well, I'm just going to go on to bed. Well, I went there and lay down. And I kind of started getting this little pain in my chest, but um, I have a reflux. So having that yucky, twinging chest pain wasn't anything new to me. So I thought that's what it was. I thought, well, I'm going to have some heartburn here in a minute. And so I just went ahead and laid down. I think I went and took a Zantac or whatever I was taking at the time. I think Zantac was off the market by then, but whatever I was taking for the heartburn, I went ahead and took it so it wouldn't wake me up in the middle of the night. Go in there and lay down and in my room, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And guys, I am in nursing. I know signs and symptoms. I don't know why it never occurred to me that I was having a heart attack. Okay. I mean, I think it crossed my mind, but I'm like, no, because I had felt, uh, sick and yucky before and had to go to the hospital. But, they gave me all that, what we used to call back then a green lizard, which is lidocaine, Gaviscon, and I know the other one. There's one more, Donatol, for that they give you when you have an extreme reflux and everything's hurting and burning, and that you swallow that stuff anyway. So I thought, well, that's what's going on. But then um, my jaw started hurting. Uh, that was pretty strange. And at this time, it's still not hit me that, and I'm kind of glad it didn't, because I probably would have panicked. I mean, I didn't feel good, and things were starting to worry me, but um, I went and got my friend up, and I said, I think I need to go to the hospital. um, Something's going on here. And so we get there, and by this time I'm really feeling nauseous, and the pressure um, in my chest was just unreal. Um, I found it very, very hard to breathe. I think that's what I remember the most. I just could not. I felt like I had been running for hours. I just couldn't breathe. And so they get me in a room, lay me on this table. My friend's sitting in there with me. And all of a sudden, you know how it feels like, those of you that have passed out, that's what it felt like. Like I was just going away. I was fading away, and I was. So I kind of leaned over to tell my friend sitting there something's happening. But that's it. I went out, and I guess he stopped me from rolling off the table in ER, and started hollering for the nurse, and things just got bad from there. Evidently, I went into full cardiac arrest. And next thing I know, I wake up, there's this little nurse literally sitting on my chest. And I hear everybody going, okay, she's back, she's back. And, the doctor came in and was telling me that I'd had a heart attack. And I was like, what? I remember thinking, no way, But, and then it just went from there. They stabilized me. They drove me an hour in an ambulance to go to the heart hospital to have a stent put in my heart to open that artery back up, because that's what happened. I'm not going to go into all the details. Y'all can look that up. There's videos all over YouTube about it. But in a short story, I had a blood clot form from plaque residue in my artery. It formed a clot. That clot broke loose and included my entire artery, blocked it off, just collapsed it. So what happens there? You don't get any blood flow. And it was in one of my, it wasn't the major one, that right quick. That is, when you hear the term widowmaker, that means that it was, you have certain parts of your heart, bigger arteries, okay? And then you have all these tiny little blood vessels. So when you have one in a major artery, that's when they call it a widowmaker, okay? Those are the ones that, honestly, most people don't survive. I'll get more to that here in a minute. But anyway, fortunately, mine was in a smaller artery. But either way, yeah, I flatlined. And anyway, so we got that fixed. It's really interesting what they can do in the medical field nowadays. I mean, just even 15 years before that, if that would have happened to me, I wouldn't have come back. There wouldn't have been anything anybody could do with a collapsed artery like that. So I come home from the hospital. In fact, I got out that morning, and it was payday. And in nursing, you have in-services. Maybe a lot of other professions do too, but we have in-services. So what they'll do is hold have paydays on, or in-services on paydays. That way they know people are going to show up, because they're going to want to come get their checks. So they'll come to in-service. And if you don't come to in-service, then you don't get your check till the actual payday, which may be the next day, or, the day after that. But anyway, so people would show up to get their checks. Well, I show up, and my DON which is uh, the director of nursing. She said, "What are you doing here?" She, you know, uh, was really shocked that I was there. I had literally just uh, got home from the heart hospital and changed my clothes and went to that meeting. And I said, "Well, I'm still alive, so I need money. Now I'm gonna have to get my paycheck." So anyway, that was the traumatic time for me, most definitely. But I didn't have um, your typical symptoms, is what I'm trying to tell y'all. Now, the jaw pain, yes, you know, but that's all. And the chest compress, the pressure in my chest. Um, I didn't go numb. Uh, my arm did not go numb. None of that um, see when people have heart attacks on TV. I did have major my jaw ached so bad. I just couldn't believe how bad that ached. And it was just hard to describe. And my elbows, guys, uh, I know I'm weird. I always have been. Leave it to me to have totally different symptoms than most people. Um, because even though I didn't have any numbness in either one of my arms, I had the jaw pain and my elbows were on fire. I was telling my cardiologist about this, and he was just shaking his head like he has never heard of that. I said, "Well, like I said, leave it to me to be different." But my elbows hurt. My elbows burned like they were on fire. No other part of my arm, just my elbows and my jaw. And of course, the chest pain, not being able to breathe. And I won't even call it pain. Like, I didn't have shooting pain everywhere. It was pressure. It was like someone in there literally just squeezing my heart. And in reality, that's what was happening. My heart was being suffocated or partially because that artery had collapsed or was, blocked. And no blood supply was getting to it in that area. So anyway, uh, I had never before, except for the high blood pressure, which a lot of people have high blood pressure, but you need to um, keep an eye on it. Uh, know what your normal is, okay? Now, nowadays we have what we call a high normal, because you're used to, for I don't know how long, your normal's been 120 over 80. That's just a basis that we go by. Um, Nowadays, in all honesty, most people run higher. And so in the medical field, they developed a high normal, which could be any, 130 over 90. That's still within okay range. But the thing is, what's okay for someone may not be okay for someone else. That's why you need to know what your normal is. And as just everyday citizens, that's about the only way, unless you have some other sign or symptom. Um, that's pretty much the only way we have of knowing that if something's going wrong in the cardiac area. Because if you have high blood pressure for any length of time, like long periods of time, that definitely can affect your cardio function. So you need to know what you're running, even if you just take it, you know, one time a week for a month. I don't know, just and write down when you take it, just to see what your normal is. So when you go to the doctor, and it's usually standard to take your blood pressure every time you have a doctor's visit, but that way you'll know what you run pretty much. Um, all the other factors that go in, like your weight, if you're diabetic or not, if you have any other underlying conditions in your body. There's so many factors that affect, per se, heart disease, your diet. Okay, I'm telling you, that is not a 100% anything. Okay, don't count on that. Hi, darling. If I get hit by a truck and walk away unscathed, yes. Um, but anyway, yeah, you need to keep a check on that. Now, I'm telling y'all, it's just when I say genetics, you need to know your family history. Okay, know if you have heart disease in your family. As I said with mine, I couldn't find anybody that had known anybody well enough to know these things about them. They barely knew, seen them in their lifetime, much less know if they had heart issues. Well, I got to digging around because my cardiologist, I ended up having to have a stent put in my heart, and that's a whole new wonderful process that has saved literally millions of lives. Y'all need to watch videos on those. It's just amazing how far technology's come. But they told me that my heart attack was caused from smoking. Okay, um, and that was the only thing that caused it. Because I back then, I wasn't overweight. I actually ate really well. I was up moving around all the time, working, so I wasn't stagnant. I wasn't just sitting still. I just do witchcraft and hope for the best. This world sucks. I know it can. Why do you think most witches just stay very secluded? They don't want to be bothered by all the riffraff going out there. We just stay in our little houses and play with our herbs and crystals. Make candles. That's why we're content. But anyway, so uh, they blamed it all on my smoking. Everything that happened was my smoking because they couldn't figure out anything else that would have caused it. Okay. I didn't have um, any other things that I was doing every day or going on in my world that in my body that would cause this. So anyway, um, I got to digging around and found out that my grandpa, my mother's dad, died of a heart attack. The first one he had and the last when he was only 32. Okay. I've also found out that one of my mother's sisters had 4 stents in her heart. Um, and I'm thinking, okay, this is hereditary. You know, um, this is, and I'm not saying that the smoking didn't contribute. It sure, I'm sure don't help, but that isn't what the total reason was. You need to know your family history. Um, because I was 49 years old and I hadn't ever really had any problems. I hadn't ever even, like I said, except for emergencies like my gallbladder or dislocating my shoulder or busting my head open or, I just didn't, I was one of those people that never got sick, honestly. And so I went through all that and just chalked it up. Okay, well, smoking, and then I'm finding all this other stuff out. Then one of my little sisters, uh, all of a sudden, poof, at 50 years old, when she turned 50, by that time I was 54, she had a heart attack. Okay, now my little sister, or this one that I'm talking about, doesn't smoke. She never has. Okay. Uh, She literally exercises every day. I mean, she's the top. She'll get up and exercise before she goes to work. She'll go for walks on the weekend, runs. She is always exercising every day. Okay. In other words, she's your poster girl for health, and she has a worse heart attack than the one I had. She actually had a widowmaker, which in the difference between a widowmaker and a what you'd consider a regular heart attack, I guess that's the best way I know how to put it, is the widowmaker, you have larger arteries in your heart, and a widowmaker means that you've had an occlusion or an infarction in one of the larger major arteries. So that's what hers was. So then I was like, yeah, it's hereditary. And her and I, we have the same mother, but not the same father. So, of course, it was on my mother's side that her dad died at 32 of heart attack. Um, that right there just, confirmed everything I had been thinking. If she can have one and a worse one than what I had, or I'll say more detrimental, not necessarily worse, but those are definitely, well, they're in larger arteries, so they affect a larger part of your heart. As in, some of them that are smaller may affect, one or so of your ventricles, or you just have to do your research on that. It's way too big of a subject for me just to try to I just kind of touch here and there, but um, that's important. You need to know what's been going on with your family, because more than likely heart disease is passed down. Okay, just like diabetes. If your mom and your grandma and her mother had diabetes, you've got a 99.9% chance you're going to have diabetes. Okay, same as with a lot of other diseases, and heart disease is one of them too. Um, Now, smoking's not good for you. Yes, I know that. I don't have the most healthy lifestyle in the world, but then I don't have the worst either. Uh, and at one point in my life, I was extremely active. Now that I'm getting older and slowing down, and I'm gaining weight and all the glorious things that come with getting older, um, I really need to start, because that's one thing I could always say. Well, I'm not overweight by no means. I was always underweight. So that definitely wasn't an influence. If I had been the size I am now, and my cardiologist now is telling me lose weight. So you need to um, I'm not going to preach at you and tell you don't do this and don't do that, because like I said, I honestly think, I mean, it does matter. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. Um, but it's kind of like the lottery, it's kind of like random drawing to me. Because, like I said, I used to drink a lot. Um, in fact, I drank a whole lot for a lot of years. Um, and of course, smoking. Um, I didn't eat bad things. I just didn't eat. There was a time that, y'all, I'm not kidding. I'd go, I can't even, at least a week without eating. And I am not lying to you. I drank beer. I'd get up in the morning, I'd open a beer, and drank beer all day long until I went to sleep. Um, and I didn't eat. Well, shoot, if I ate, it'd mess up my buzz, right? But I would literally go for very, very long periods of time without eating anything at all, not even one bite. If I was at a bar, I might eat a potato chip that was right there, and that's it. And I'm not exaggerating. So, I really didn't take very good care of myself then. But I was fine, I mean, up until the later years. And then you've got my little sister over there, bless her heart. She just takes very good care of herself. She eats healthy, she exercises, and she doesn't smoke. And poof, you know, she has a worse heart attack than the one I had. Um, it is just, it's random. Um, in nursing, I have seen so many people that I've worked with that were patients, that were residents, all different stories. Lung cancer in someone that's never smoked a cigarette, but they end up with lung cancer. And this person over here that's drinking a quart of whiskey a day, smoking 2-3 packs a day, is perfectly fine. I believe, in all actuality, it's truly about the makeup of your own personal body. What's going on in there, how much it can withstand. And a lot of that stuff depends on genetics. Okay. So it's very important to know your family history. It really is. Ask your mom, ask your dad, whoever, your grandmother. Usually our grandmas are the ones with all that knowledge, right? But nowadays people just don't think about that sort of thing. So doctors have nothing to go by when all of a sudden you just pretty much drop dead like I did. It's like, what happened to her? She was perfectly healthy. We don't, what was going on. Um, the thing is, uh, you don't know what's actually going on inside them arteries or, anything like that. Now we have tests, they do those, they have those mobile x-rays that, you see advertisements a lot that they'll have, okay, realize a lot of people don't have $175 even, especially on them at the time. But if you can get that money and go have your heart scanned, you need to do that. First of all, that's extremely cheap compared to what my bill was when I had my heart attack. And I mean, you get billed for everything. I got billed for the ambulance ride from where I was living to Oklahoma City. Um, that's an expensive cab ride. um, the hospital where I had the heart attack at an ER visit and all that. And then I stayed for 5 days or a week. I think it was 5 days in the heart hospital. You can only fathom what that costs. So $175 really isn't nothing. Okay. And it will tell you, it'll throw up red flags here and there if it senses something wrong. And then you can go to your doctor, because nowadays to see a cardiologist, any specialist, you'll have to have a referral. So you need to tell your PCP, what's going on, and then they'll refer you probably to a cardiologist. Most of them nowadays don't run them tests themselves, and most of them nowadays are nurse practitioners. I've noticed that a lot of them that you see nowadays are nurse practitioners. I'm not sure really how that goes, but they do. I'm sure they have to work under or be signed off on by an actual MD. Don't quote me on that because I'm not that's kind of a new thing. I mean, we kind of always had nurse practitioners and stuff like that, but you didn't see them as much as you will nowadays. More than likely, if you go to get a personal care physician, then you're going to have a nurse practitioner. I don't know why that is. Mainly, probably because most MDs nowadays are going into specialties, which is, your pediatricians, your cardiologists, and urologists, and so on. The ones that specialize in one certain thing or area. So to be honest, I mean they have certain things that they're not uh, licensed to do, you know, um, as nurse practitioners, but so they'll send you to a specialist. Um, but anyway, um, y'all really need to be keeping a check on that, because I'm telling you guys, mine came out of freaking nowhere. I had no other symptoms. No symptoms. And being tired, they'll say, "Oh, I just got really tired all of a sudden." Well, I was, but like I said, um, you know, I was 49 years old and I worked all day and I was tired, and it was getting later at night, and nobody thinks, well, and I'm not saying every time you get tired, don't freak out and think you're fixing to have a heart attack, because more than likely you're not. Um, but just because you feel good all the time, you exercise and this and that, does not exclude you from cardiac failure, um, or an interruption. Um, you need to, and now I gotta admit, doctors, that's what they go by, is signs and symptoms. Okay, that's the body giving them hints on what's going on with you. So if you don't have any and you look like a normal, healthy person, that doctor's not going to say, okay, well, I think we need to do a heart scan or an EKG, CG, a cath, whatever, um, without those symptoms. Unfortunately, that is just the way it goes. And you don't want to have to be paying for all these tests. I understand they are very expensive. But what do you do? Yeah, I mean, you kind of feel like a sitting duck, right? And if you sit and worry about it and think about what's going on in your body or what could be going wrong, then you're going to create a whole other mental issue. So don't do that, okay? um, it just really stunned me, and to this day, I sit and think, wow, that was truly out of nowhere. When people say, "Yeah, I had a heart attack straight out of nowhere," that's truly what happened to me. It was just there, and it wasn't going away either. So, yeah, just one time a year, even, make sure you have a PCP, your doctor, that, because you you develop a relationship with your doctor, not only as your acquaintance or even friend, but the doctor learns your body. The doctor uh, learns what is normal and what is not normal with you. You know what is normal and what's not normal. So anytime your body is telling you, okay, something's wrong here, pay attention to me, you better listen. And it could be very subtle. High blood pressure. That is the only thing in my world that I could sit and think back on that would have been a sign that anything was wrong with my heart. Okay. Um, but like I said, I drank a lot, I smoked a lot. Yeah, I'm going to have high blood pressure. Um, keep an eye on that blood pressure. If you don't know how, get you a wrist cuff. And especially if you already have factors, what I like to call the X factors in your world, in your body, in your history, that of these events, of cardiac issues, heart problems, um, diabetes. Know your family history. If you're overweight, if you are a drug user, okay, um, those things are just top shelf. Could cause your whole body to go haywire. Smoking, yeah, it's not good for you. But just because you're one of those people that eat kale every day and jog around a mile every day doesn't mean you're excluded from a heart attack. If there's something present in those arteries, it's there, and no amount of jogging or whatever you eat isn't going to matter. What's going to matter is that you have to go have someone go in there and fix that. The problem, like I said, is those tests are expensive, and doctors don't usually just order them without a need to, without, like I said, if you're not having signs and symptoms. But like with me, I didn't have any, and I'll tell y'all, if technology hadn't come as far as it has, I wouldn't be here talking to y'all today. I just would not be here um, without that stent, you know. Um, I've done a lot of studying up on them too. It's just amazes me how far we have come in the medical field, um, and these doctors and these brilliant minds, and the nurses. The nurses damn sure play a huge part. Um, they know exactly what to do. When I had mine, I mean, I was completely in their hands, and that is a very vulnerable feeling. But I was among very, very capable people. And because of everything pulling together just perfectly, just right, everything worked out in perfect timing, I'm still here and still smoking. See? Humans are dumb. We just don't, we think, oh, well, it won't happen again, blah, blah, blah. I don't know why I still smoke. Um, I get it all the time. My friends and family finally just stop bitching at me for it because it's not helping anything. I'm going to smoke. My kids, my daughter, she's like, Mom, I can't believe you're smoking. Because I mean, she was there and it just scared her to death. But um, I remember laying there thinking, um, man, you know, I mean, I don't hold no bars with y'all. All know that my son did a extensive prison stay. And at this time, he was still locked up, and I remember when they brought me back, my daughter was standing there, and I, I just kept thinking, oh my gosh, if they have to tell my kid that his mama just died and he's locked up, he can't get to me, that is just gonna, pardon my language, just fuck him up. So I just, you know, the universe, like, please do not let this happen. I wasn't even caring at that time about me dying. Um, I was asking pretty much for him. Thought, oh, how horrible, something for him to have to hear when he's locked up. He won't get over that, and I just can't allow that to happen. So here I am throwing shit out in the universe. Please just let me, get through this so he don't have to be told that his mom is dead, you know. here I am. Uh, I tell you, it's pretty scary, and it doesn't seem to matter how well you take care of yourself. Things can still go wrong. Our bodies are very, very strong and tough, and just miracles in themselves, but they're not infallible. You know, um, it is. It's kind of like Russian roulette to me. Like you never know. No, people never smoked in their lives have uh, lung cancer, and people have never drank a thing in their life have liver cancer. And let me tell y'all something else. I'm sure that y'all already know, or a bunch of you know this, but speaking of the liver, I know when people think jaundice, well, jaundice is your body's, that's your first sign that there's something definitely wrong with your liver. If it's gotten far enough that you actually look yellow, okay, there's definitely something wrong with your liver. Um, but when people think of stenosis, uh, things going wrong with your liver, they always think drinking. Okay, that's the first thought that comes to their head. Okay, well, that person drinks too much, and that's what caused them to have cirrhosis of the liver or whatever. That is not the only thing that can go wrong with your liver. If you're a drug user, okay, drugs, and it doesn't mean, I mean, any drug. Too much ibuprofen can be bad for your liver. Any drug, any pill, street drug, you'll have to understand how important that liver is. I'm not going into all the physiology of that either. Um, your liver is your big major sponge and excreter. It gets rid, it filters all these poisons. Well, alcohol and drugs, they're really nothing but poison. They all leave residue behind, and therefore your liver is overworked and eventually um, will not function anymore. And that takes a lot, people. Um, it, all your organs and they all work together are very much needed, but I'm telling y'all that liver is an amazing organ. It it's the only organ you have that can regenerate itself. If it gets sick and you give it time and stop doing whatever it is, if you're an alcoholic, stop drinking a fifth a day. When you're first warned that that your liver is being overworked, um, then your liver will heal itself. The only organ you have that will, besides your integumentary system, which is your skin, stuff like that. Of course, it'll heal, but I'm talking about your internal organs. Um, we put our bodies through a lot of abuse, even not meaning to. You don't even realize. Um, Even if you study a little bit in kinesiology, the movement of the body, um, you'll know that when you run or you exercise, you don't understand the trauma that you're actually putting your muscles and your body through, but it's good for it. It's good. It helps it fight back. It makes it stronger, right? But it's still trauma. Just taking steps whenever you see it on like an infrared, or I forget what they call the videos that show the movement and the impact that it has when you put your foot down. It's like a ripple effect. Um, it'll go from your foot through your ankle, up through your legs, up in your buttocks, in your back, and it stops about midway. So there's over half of your body right there impacted by that one step. That's why kinesiology is so fast. It's all fascinating to me, but how your body works together, everything, just it's like a perfectly manufactured machine. I mean, it's really amazing how awesome it really is. And it can take a lot of abuse, a whole lot of abuse. But as with anything else, after too much for too long, um, it's not going to come back, you know. And as we get older, everything else goes down too. Your immune system no longer um, operates the way it used to. It's not as strong, so it can't fight things off as well. Movement slows down, so you lose muscle mass, and it's just a downhill slide. It really is. So as you get older, you really need to do some sort of movement. Get up, move around. Stay active as long as you possibly can. I don't know, guys. And like I said, I'm not a physician by no means. But a lot of this is common sense too. Okay, I mean, you abuse anything long enough, it's going to give out, right? It's pretty much common sense, except for the fact that if you have no signs and symptoms, and a lot of people don't. That's why regular checkups, are imperative. But then they don't check for this sort of thing. A lot of things can be detected in a blood test, a simple blood test. They have basic things that they run now in a blood test. Your normal ones like your CBCs, your cell blood counts, which will tell them how many red cells per white you have, and possibly if you're anemic. Then you have your lipid panels, your HDLs and your LDLs, which is everybody needs to know what those are. An HDL is your high density lipids, and your LDL is a low density lipid. You'll learn which ones are healthy lipids, which are pretty much, that's a whole little tiny category. Look up lipids, it'll tell you what all that is. I'm not going into all that because that's how I do, guys. Y'all that watched me long enough know that I'll get on one, and before I know it, we're having an entire anatomy class here, which is kind of fun to me. I know to a lot of people it's boring, but I love it. The study of the human anatomy just fascinates me, and all the medical stuff. And I honestly think maybe in another life I was a physician that just didn't know about, all this new age stuff. And it just, it amazes me in this life. I never, I had thought about going to be a doctor at one time, but just different circumstances in my lifestyle, I just did never go. And nursing is as far as I got. And I only actually got in nursing because I needed a job real bad. And believe it or not, even though the pay sucked when I was real young, it still paid better than Pizza Hut. So that was my summer job when I was 15, between my sophomore and junior year of high school. I started out as a nurse's aide, and back then they didn't have all these other things. They didn't have medication aids. You didn't have to be certified. Not when I started. And I mean, things have really come a long ways in this field, and in a way, I'm glad I was in it to get to see it all happen. But I really do kind of wish I'd have went further, for many reasons. But mainly because that sort of thing just intrigues me, and I would have been really good at it. I had always thought growing up that I was going to be a doctor of some sort, whether it be a pharmacist, an actual MD, or a vet. Those were you know, and then there was that little other side of me that wanted to be a cop, go in law enforcement. And what did I do? I did just a little bit, got my foot in the door a little bit with each of them. I guess that's better than some can say, huh? Um, and that goes back to what I was thinking the other day about, I think as you get older, you do a lot of reflecting, mistakes, and why didn't I do this and why didn't I do that? And we spend all that time thinking about what we should have done or could have done. Hindsight's 2020. You can always look back and go, damn, if I'd only done this. Okay, well, we all say that. But and I'm guilty of this. As you get older and all these things start happening to your body and everything's changing, even your hormones, which will make you feel like you're crazy, especially in women. Now, men have their things they go through too, but mainly the women, because our hormones are so outrageously, weirded out. But depression will set in, and as I always say, it's also important to take care of your mind. Do things that make you happy, please. If there's anything that makes you happy, do it, because life is honestly too short. And if you're in a situation, try like hell to get out of it if you're not happy, okay? I've been doing a lot of thinking in the last year alone. Actually, longer than that, but in the last year, really contemplating. And the problem is I can't change anything. We just want to fix things so bad, and we want them fixed right now. And, it's just not feasible. That some things cannot be fixed. They can be overlooked, they can be remedied, but not fixed. They'll always be there. They're learning blocks or stepping stones, whatever you want to call them. And we just have to live in the time, in the moment. I've been beside myself, as y'all know. I have got to get a life again. I have to. I'm going to be completely unable that anybody's ever going to be around me if I don't do something. They're not going to want to be around me. I'm not a happy camper. I don't have good nerves as it is, and I've always been one with almost a zero tolerance level. I don't like stupidity or people that are just toxic, negative, sludgy. When I look at them, I see that old nasty oil that comes out of your car when you get an oil change. That's what they remind me of. They don't do anything. They're just kind of there, and I'm becoming one of those people. And I just can't do it anymore. So I'm gonna have to change my surroundings. I'm telling y'all, if you change your surroundings, you will be freaking amazed how much that will help you. Try this trick. If you're feeling bad, like if you're having a bad day and you've got time on your hands, instead of sitting there like I do, beating yourself up for every mistake that you've ever made, being really hard on yourself and starting to get depressed and going down that rabbit hole, get up, rearrange your house, rearrange your living room, go through your closet, go through your clothes and what you don't need, get rid of. Symbolically, and I really think that whether we know it or not, we're relating that get riddance when we get rid of something. It helps, right? When you declutter things, it's like you're doing something that you actually have control over. You know, you may not have control over what happened to you 20 years ago. No, you don't. Probably not. But you have control over if your closet's a mess or not. If you've got clothes in there that you haven't worn in 10 years, get rid of them. Start getting rid of it. Now we go into my craft. It's the same with negative energy. We know as witches, when we clean, when we purify, we feel better, right? Even as normal human beings, most people, when they're in clean surroundings, makes them feel better. Now, guys, I really try not to judge people, but I am one of those people. If I walk in your house and it is a flipping mess, it makes me uncomfortable. And I don't say that to be rude. It's their home. They can keep it however they want. But it makes me very uncomfortable to sit in a messy house. Okay? I'll just come straight out and tell you that, and I don't care. I don't like it. There's no sense in it. It shows disorganization. I can only imagine what the the person's true life is about if they can't even, straighten up their own home, or if you go someplace and there's roaches crawling everywhere. I understand roaches get in places. Don't get me wrong. Um, but when you don't do anything about them, when you go to someone's house and they have small children and you notice that there's roaches crawling in their beds, come on, guys. No, not acceptable. And I'm not going to sit there and tell you it is. Okay, I'm not one of those people. um, and I'm probably not one of them people that are going to just ignore it and walk out of the house and then bitch about it the whole time when I leave. I'm going to tell you straight to your face, you need to clean that up. That's not acceptable. I don't want to hear no excuses. Oh, I worked all day. I don't give a damn. Okay. I don't care. You know what? I was a single mom. I worked a lot of freaking hours in my house. Never looked like that. Okay. Never. Never. You can ask either one of my children. Never. I'm not saying it didn't get a little cluttered here and there or every once in a while, but people weren't afraid to sit on my couch or, eat in my kitchen. You just have some respect, about yourself. Anyway, I'm not getting off on that tangent, but that is one of my peeves. Okay. I don't want to hear it. There's no excuse to me. Um, I've known people literally that are paralyzed. Okay. Paraplegics. They cannot walk. They can still use their arms. So what do? If they need help, they've got people that help them. Uh, but their houses don't look like that. So you can't tell me an able-bodied person, no matter what. It's just pure laziness. You're not focused. And if uh, you clean it up in the first place and keep it that way, then it won't look this bad. Okay. Now that's just the way I am. I don't know how I got off on that tangent. But anyway, I know it sounds terrible, and I'm not trying to be judgmental. I guess in a way I am. There's no excuse for it. Pick that shit up, okay? Because I'm telling you, if you have some of these things get really nasty and can be detrimental to your health. If you don't fix something, you've got mold. If water leaking all the time, you're going to have mold. Mold's not good for you. Um, and as we say in the craft, with all this toxicity around you all the time, enveloping you, you can't possibly put out good magic. I mean, it's like trying to shoot a stopped up shotgun, you know. Bullet's probably not going to come out because there's so much sludge in there. It can't. Um, I don't know, guys. These are random thoughts of mine. See, welcome to my brain. But I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at my cat. She does some pretty weird things sometimes. Anyway, so that is the deal with uh, my heart attack. Um, no, I do not take care of myself like I should. Um, but it is what it is. I guess everybody has the right to do whatever. We make our own decisions, right? Our own choices. Um, as I sit here and smoke this cigarette. But anyway, I don't have the answers. I don't. I can only tell you my experiences, my thoughts. There's so much, you know. Um, and I'm telling y'all, as you get older, maybe not everybody's like me. I hope not. Sometimes I get pretty miserable um, because I go too deep. I think too much, um, and I don't get anything accomplished because I'm just thinking. You know, by the time I get done, somebody will tell me to make a game plan. Well, I'm sure they didn't mean for 5 years from now. It's like no, Tammy. You make a game plan, do it for a month at a time. You ain't got to go 5 years, 10 years, or what I'm going to be doing. If I'm still alive in 20 years. You know, um, and I'm sure everybody goes through this as they get older. You just sit around and and it's even worse for me because I don't really have I don't have a partner. My kids are gone. I have a lot of time on my hands to do nothing but think. And I'm not even really working right now. So I just have a lot of time. So what do? I think. And sometimes I depress the hell out of myself. And I think back, I I know every time I smoke a cigarette, it's like putting a shotgun to my head and pulling the trigger, playing Russian roulette. It's like, okay, you're not supposed to be doing this, but it is so hard to quit. And I think I just don't want to. I mean, straight up, I just don't want to quit smoking, or I could do it because I'm that type of person. If I decide to put something down, it's down. Just like with my drinking, I woke up one day, went to get me a beer, and I said, nope, not today. Not ever again. And I put the beer back in the fridge and I went back to bed. I haven't drank since. Well, after that time, I I did drink, but not like that. I'd go out and have a beer with my friends every month or so. But and now I can't even tell you honestly when's the last time I drank. But I also wasn't one of these, you know, stupid falling down drunks. Um, I would get to a certain level to where I could function, but I wouldn't have an anxiety or panic attack. That my brain slowed down enough to where I could actually enjoy being alive and not be constantly in such deep thought that it just destroyed me. Um, I'm just that type of person. I'm always thinking very, very in depth. Uh, and it's a blessing, but a curse. I mean, I'm not saying I have a wonderful mind. That's not what I'm about to say. So don't take it like this. But, that's where your thinkers come from. That's where inventions come from. That's where progression in the human race comes from, is the thinkers. Um, my problem is I could never keep a straight thought. I literally will start with, as y'all can tell by this video, this is just a little touch of how I am. I can go from one thing, it'll remind me of something, and then here I am. But what it all boils down to, it's really all in one ball. It's in your health. Your mental health affects your physical health and vice versa. Okay? So if you take care of one, you're probably taking care of the other. If I was up moving around and had a life, I wouldn't have time to sit and go in this deep of thought. See what I'm trying to say? And there's so many people out there with so many different circumstances that they don't have a choice. They aren't able to get up and move around like they want to. They can't get up and clean their own house. They may be confined to a chair. Maybe they're in such deep depression that they can't get up and do those things. My answer to that is try very, very hard. Y'all been through all this journey for the last 5 years. I don't hold anything back from you guys. This is real. This is reality TV at its finest. There's no acting here. There's no choreographers. There's no producers. It's just me. And it's one little insignificant person in this world. But yet, we're all the same. A little different here and there, but in the long run and at the basic core, we're all the same. And that is why my craft is so important to me. That's why I struggle so hard to meditate, and it is very hard for me to do so. And I'm still not going to tell y'all I just sit and per se meditate like other people do. My idea of doing that, and the best way I can do it, is to turn on the meditation sounds or music or whatever, and I lay down and I close my eyes. And I try really hard to put myself in those spaces, to where I'm okay for a while, or I'm at peace for a little bit, and I say at peace. It's not like I'm some miserable, crazy ass person. I'm just constantly in deep thought, and I don't know how to change that. I probably never will. That's just who I am. But and if that would be a good thing if I put them into good use. If I had applied them when I was younger, if I had learned to recognize that I wasn't weird, that I wasn't stupid, or every other thing that I called myself except smart, you know. There wasn't ever a dumb thing about me except for some of the decisions I made. Um, and I really wish um, that I would have had people around me that recognized that and pushed me in a different direction. Um, Back then, people didn't know, all the psychologies and things that they know nowadays. And um, I truly think that that's another one of the teacher's jobs, because they see the academics in that student. They know more so than the parent, um, how bright that child is or isn't. Okay. So if you're a teacher, and I know most of you already do this, I'm just kind of reiterating. Um, Watch them children, because you are the eyes of the parents when the parents aren't around, and you probably know more about that than the parent. Now, don't get me wrong, my daddy, I was the daddy's girl. Um, I just loved my daddy. I think most little girls do. But my daddy wasn't very smart. Okay. And I don't, I'm not trying to sound like I'm trying to cut him down, because in no shape, form, or fashion. He was smart in his world as far as the oil field, but when it came to having a little girl around, and the issues that little girls go through, and my daddy just wasn't very versed at that at all, and he was not open minded. Okay. My daddy was very old fashioned. Yeah, I think he only went to the 8th grade. I don't even know if he actually went through the 8th grade, but um, I know he dropped out in the 8th grade, something like that. Um, so he wasn't the smartest crayon in the box. He had a lot of common sense, a lot of, just like most men back then, or even, well, men, because men did most of the work, but it was kind of like brawn over brains. He's a worker, support his family, and come home, eat, and spend time with his kids. And there wasn't any ever, per se, intellectual talk. I had a stepmother. Guys, my first stepmother was horrible, but I'm not going into all that either. But there was no brain in her head either, at all. But I used to hate the fact that I was raised in a home. I was raised in um, a girl's home. Uh, and I used to think it was the most horrible thing in the world. And it kind of was, especially when you're little. You want your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters. I missed out on a lot as far as quote unquote family. Um, the girls that were out there, my roommates, became my sisters. My house parents became my parents. Um, so, to be honest, I really grew up without that connection to my family, but we were um, very educated. I mean, they really stressed education there, um, the academics, and of course, I was a major athlete. I on one hand, it was really not a good childhood as far as having the closeness, of your actual family with you. Uh, and becoming close to them like most people do. But it was also wonderful because at home I would not have had that. Okay. Now, I love my mother. I love her so much, you guys. But we did not have a relationship when I was little. We just didn't. I was a rebellious, unruly child. Um, but there were reasons for that. There were other things going on that no one else knew about. Um, and, I didn't tell anyone. And I think y'all can imagine what that was. And later on in years, I spoke to my mom about it. And she was like, well, if you'd have told me, what was going on, maybe things would have been different. Maybe they would have, but would anybody have believed me? You know, I remember thinking that. I was a little girl and I can still tell you exactly what I was thinking. They're not going to believe me. They're not going to believe a thing I say. And so I just let everybody think, I was worthless and whatever, and they just tossed and put me wherever the hell they wanted to. Because as a child, you don't have anything to say, right? You got all these adults making decisions for you that sometimes they're just not the best decisions. But let me tell you guys, one thing Hecate will do is step in. Okay. I assure you, whether that child even remembers that she did or not, she will step in because that is the first time I ever seen her um, very vividly. I wasn't dreaming. I hadn't even shut my eyes to go to sleep yet. I had been laying there crying. I had been in this home a couple of nights, and this is either my second or third night there. And I could do nothing but cry. I didn't know what was happening to me. I'm out here and I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. The only sounds I could hear were crickets and pump jacks. Those of you that are around Texas, you know the pump jack sound. And I have never to this day felt that lonely and that afraid. And all of a sudden, I seen this beautiful woman come through my window. She came through my window. And I thought it was the curtains blowing, but our windows weren't open. You couldn't open them. They were honestly nailed shut. Okay. Which was a really bad fire hazard. But this was 100 years ago, exaggeration there, just to, but a very long time ago. And I thought, well, it's not the window open. Who's that coming through my window? And she was beautiful. She was just so beautiful. I can't remember exactly what her face looked like now, but I remember seeing these bright green eyes. And I remember the hair and the colors were so, it was almost like I had never seen those colors before. They just look so different to me. And I swear to you, all of a sudden I stopped crying. I stopped crying, and I don't think I ever cried again. If I did, it wasn't for many, many years. For that reason, I didn't ever feel um, lonely. I didn't. That feeling just went away. I got up the next morning, went to breakfast, and it was like a whole new thing. I just felt ready to to take on whatever was coming, you know. And I was only 8 years old. I was about to be 9. That's very, very young. Um, and I swear that was Hecate. I didn't even know that until later on in life as I progressed into my witchdom, to my witchiness, that that's who it was until I started learning about her and about how she is with children. Um, she she's a major protector of those kids, and I know that for a fact. There, you know, people can say I'm crazy all day long. I don't care. I know exactly what I've seen. I know exactly what I've grown up with her around me all these years, and um, so when they say she's mama, she's mama. When us witches call her mother, that's why. But she's also that mother that will spank your ass too if you need it. Um, she loves you, but she's not going to take a whole lot of crap either, you know. And I, you know what's weird is when I first seen her, I was like, mother, mama. Well, in my mind, it was my own mother, my mother, you know. But it was my mom. It was Mama. It was Hecate. Um, it wasn't my per se Earth Mother, the one that actually gave birth to me. Um, she, it was Mother, and it's just in one of the best feelings I've ever had. I mean, to be that peaceful that quickly, just all of a sudden I was okay. And my poor roommate, she was an older girl, and she had been there already for quite a while, and she tried so hard to make me feel better. She really did. Um, I still remember her name. I won't say it just in case, but um, she tried so hard. She'd come over there and she'd sit on the bed and, you know, hold my hand, and just nothing. There wasn't nothing else going to stop me from crying that night until Hecate appeared. And that's one of my fondest memories. It's one of I think honestly it was probably the very first night I was there. But that's one of my fondest memories. It was the scariest night of my life, uh, but it was the best because she was there, and she always has been. She's never left, and I didn't even know until years and years later that that's who that was. So I guess I sit and I think, okay, well, all this has got to be for something, you know. But I'm telling you, if you just sit around and I wear myself out. As y'all can tell by this video, I'll start with one thing, and before I know it, I'm trying to figure out, the universe. It's just my thought processes. And welcome to my world. Welcome to a major headache and major confusion. That's why, I think a really brilliant scientist, I can't remember who said it, but, learn to keep your mind still. I never knew what that meant until I got older, and I realized I just think too damn much. Um, I'm always contemplating something, and that's why I try to stay busy. Even here, I'll play my games on Facebook, or I'll talk to the other witches and get up and do something. Whether it's just cook something that probably won't even get eaten and be wasted, or, do something to not just sit and think. And in my honest opinion, that could be an excellent medication, aesthetic for depression. Um, Whoever coined the phrase that the devil works in idle hands, or works with idle hands, something like that. Um, except for the fact they used the devil, the word the devil. Point taken. When you have a whole lot of time to sit and think, it could get you in trouble. So try not to think so much. Read, or I don't know, do something. So here before long, I am probably going to be moving. Y'all can go on that journey with me as you have all the others. I don't know if it's the best thing to do, but we never do. We never know if the decisions we're making are the right ones until the end result. All we can do is what we can do in the moment, and try to use productive thought and some common sense in the equation. I don't know. I don't have the answers. If I did, I would gladly share them with you, but I don't. I will tell y'all one thing is you have got to, when we do our shadow work, to me, that is, getting rid of the things that weigh you down, dealing with them, putting them out on the table, dealing with them, and they're done with. Or I'm not saying you make them go away, because you're just not going to, okay? They're always going to be there. The issue there is getting them and making them a memory, and that's it. Yeah, it's a memory you can reflect on if you choose to. It'll always be there, but you've dealt with it. It doesn't affect you in your daily living anymore, and you go on, right? Okay, what do we do when we need to forgive people? Do you forgive them? Do you try to forget about them, which isn't going to happen? Do you truly forgive them? Well, I guess it depends on how you look at you. Does that mean that you're actually forgiving that person? You're not excusing them, but you're forgiving them. You're saying, okay. But then you think, I can't do it, because that person affected the rest of my life. Okay? That person did things that affected the rest of my life that I can't fix, I cannot change. So how do I forgive that person? Well, I don't think it's necessarily a case of forgiving per se when you say that. I think it's the case that you say, I'm not going to let you bother me anymore. Yes, you may have done that. This may have resulted, but I'm turning the tables. I'm not going to let this happen in my life anymore. This could be anything. This could be a parent. I mean, parents are, our stability or our undoing, aren't they, in reality? Major trauma in your childhood. It could be anybody. It could be your husband that was awful to you. I think when we forgive, we're letting go. And I'm telling y'all, some of this is not easy to let go of, and you may never fully release it. Some of that we're going to hang on to because it made us who we are today. Okay, it is part of us. It's woven into our fabric, our very fabric of what makes us up. So I think the whole point is getting it tamped down enough to where it doesn't affect your daily life. It doesn't. Okay, per se, you had a husband that beat the hell out of you all the time. Okay, just an example. Although I know there are a lot of you out there that have. Um, you finally get out of that situation, right? Well, you're probably scared to death to even try a relationship with anybody else, right? What do you have to do? You have to understand that wasn't you. You have to go through all that, um, the things that you have to go through to deal with trauma. Uh, I think, first of all, we try to understand why they would do something like that. When they supposedly loved us, you go through all um, the issues of self blame. You blame yourself. Well, if I hadn't done this, then they wouldn't have done that. No, no, stop doing that. And when you're a child and you grow up and you can forgive the people that were supposed to be there to take care of you, to watch over you, you can forgive them, but you're not ever going to forget it because it made you the paranoid weirdo that you are today. I'm speaking for myself, guys. So, I'm not going to keep preaching because I'm boring myself. But once again, the craft, my craft, the meditation, the talking to your goddess, the lighting that candle, to me, it brings peace. It brings peace to my life. Um, I remember years and years ago when I first heard the term chaos magic. Um, I know everybody thinks of it as something different. Um, you just have to, I'm not going down that rabbit hole either. Um, I used to think, why would anybody want to do chaos magic? All you got to do is get up in the morning, go to work that day, and your average everyday functioning through daily life. And at the end of the night, you can sit there and say, that was chaos. So you have enough of that in your life. Why would you want to do chaos magic per se? I don't know. Random thoughts. Nobody's on here to talk to me. I even bored Aiden to death. He's gone. But I don't know. I just wanted to come on here and chat with y'all. How did we go? How did I go from heart issues to chaos magic? See how I am? See how I am? I love me though. I wouldn't have me any other way. That's another thing y'all need to learn. Love yourself. We're all different. We're all unique. Learn to pick out your unique qualities and the good things about yourself. Stop thinking all the bad all the time like I do. I'm always thinking, I could have done better. I should have done better. I should have done better. I'm always pushing myself so hard that I get nothing done. If I could ever find that happy medium, no telling what I could have became. A lot of it was intimidation, fear, insecurity, thinking I just couldn't do it or wouldn't be able to, and the fear of failure. I'm one of those people, if I don't get an A on a test, I freak out. I do. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't get an A. But you got to be on one of the hardest tests that there is. I don't care. It should have been an A. And I'll think about that for a very long time and beat myself up for it. It's like, why didn't you get that A? You knew that answer. What was wrong with you? I'm horrible to myself, guys. And now that I'm older, I look back and I wish I could have done so many things so different. I wish I would have been easier on myself, more forgiving of my own self. You know, it's like, it's okay. You know, you're okay. Um, I don't know. Just random old woman thoughts, I guess. I probably answered a lot of questions right there in this one video, but this is why I've come to the conclusion that good or bad, I mean, this may not be the best decision I've ever made, but it's time to go. It's time to get up and go because I'm not getting better. Not getting better here. I'm not accomplishing anything. And when I figured that out is when I started coming out of my little depression that y'all knew I was in. As I said, I'll share everything with you. Um, because this is real life, you know? This is the real shit. And even those people out there that seem to have their world together, they live in these big, beautiful homes, they drive these nice cars, and you look at them and you say, wow, why can't I have that? You don't know what those people had to sacrifice to obtain those things, okay? You don't know how they got them. You don't know if they came by it honestly or not. You don't know that it wasn't money handed down to them from their parents. You don't know. It could be anything. You don't know the story of how they got there. You don't know if they stole it. And then there's those that have worked their ass off for it, you know? You don't know how it was obtained. You don't know that, yeah, they have a beautiful home. And that woman may look beautiful because she's had so many damn plastic surgeries. Everything about her's fake, from her fingernails to her eyelashes, because that's the only way she can function every day. Okay. Her husband expects that of her. She always has to look good. She may not have to work, but by God, she better look good. That's pressure enough. I'm sure she sits there and goes, I want to take all this crap off. This is not me. I don't have a mind of my own. And that's got to bother people. But in order to keep that lifestyle or possibly to keep her family together, she has to play that role. Miserable. Maybe she's actually happy with it. I would not be happy being fake. Um, that's why I tell y'all on here, there's probably, I'm out there for millions and millions of people to see. And I'm still just as real as they come. Even more so. Um, I'm a very caring, loving person, but I'm also that person that is going to be more real to you than probably anyone you've ever met in your life. I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to tell you what I think if you ask me. I'll congratulate you when you've done well, and I'll tell you that was shit if you didn't. You know, um, like nowadays, um, and I kind of understand why they're doing it, but it's really stupid because these kids that are in competitions at schools, in sports, and what have you, they're starting to give them all little trophies. Don't do that. No, because you may think you're doing a good thing, but you're not. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Anything that child does for the rest of its life is going to think it deserves something for it. Okay? No, that's not how life is. You didn't get first place. you're not going to get that blue ribbon. That's competition, people. If you can't have your child in competition and teach them what competition is, competition doesn't mean everybody wins. That is not competition. Competition is seeing where you fit in the best of the best. Okay? These people that give all these kids everything, I understand trying. You need to teach them how to try, how to compete, and maybe they're just not competitors. You know, my I had some really good friends growing up. Um, I was the athlete. I was the one. They couldn't outrun me, but they could outsmart me on a test. You know what I mean? Everybody has their own groove, and that's where finding your groove is a major part of growing up. Finding out where you fit in, who you are, figuring out who you are. And if you've got somebody that won't tell you the truth, you know, I understand patting people on the back and saying, dude, you did good. I have no issue with that. What I have an issue with is this person that really worked their butts off to get this, actually beat all the rest of them. And the person that came in last that just kind of walked around going, I don't want to be here, gets the same ribbon that this person got. Okay? What would it be like if the world was really that way? Communism. Right? Yes. If that were the case, you'd have housewives out there doing heart surgery, right? Well, she tried. I mean, that was sufficient enough. That was good enough, right? Isn't that what? Isn't, it's a little overdone, but isn't that the same message that you're giving your children? Now, I'm not saying press them to where it drives them crazy or gives them some sort of complex. See what type of person is conditioned. They'll condition themselves. You can't turn your child into a brain surgeon. Okay, it's either there or it's not. Okay, you can give them things to work with. You can set examples. See where they lead themselves. See which direction they're going in, and feed that uh, intellect in that child, whatever it may be. It may be nothing at all. Not everybody's a rocket scientist. Not everybody's going to be a doctor. Some are just going to be waitresses, and that's a hard job too. As long as they're doing something, you know. Um, but I've known parents that really are hard on their kids. It gives them complexes. It makes them feel like what they are doing isn't ever good enough. Hello, drugs. What's the next thing they're going to go to because they can't handle that kind of pressure? They're just children. you know, I understand trying to mold them and trying to teach them, but you don't have to be so hard on them. Don't try to make them something they're not. Um, you hope the best for them. That's true. What mother and father doesn't want their child to be a cardiologist or some sort of doctor? Why? Because it makes you look better. Oh, I'm a good parent because now my kid's a doctor. That's not it. Yeah, and you're very vain for thinking that way. Because I guarantee you that child did all the work, not you. All you're doing is being there for help, aid. You're conditioning that child as far as nurturing them, putting a roof over their head, trying to help them with homework, trying to introduce them to things. But what they pick out and what they pursue is their own wonderful minds. Okay, they have their own minds. Let them use them. Try not to really push them in any direction. You can lead, you can guide, But what if they're going in a direction you don't understand? That's okay too. Gosh, I wish whenever I was growing up in the home I was living in that people would have been smarter. I'm sorry. Yeah, they put a roof over my head. They ensured my safety, but they did not poke and prod my intellectual ability. They didn't have time. There were so many girls out there. Because at the risk of sounding vain, I'm a really smart person. I don't know everything by no means, but I'm pretty damn smart. And I can say that now. I can say that without feeling like I'm tooting my own horn or that somebody's going to look at me and go, no, you're not. Why do you think you're smart? You know, and I always have been. I was just, I wasn't ever, it was expected in my family and where I grew up. You were expected to do certain things and it didn't matter. It just didn't matter what you were thinking. They could care less what you were thinking. It was, no, you better get up, you better have that room clean, and you better make A's. We don't care how you do it. There wasn't no, oh, yay, you got all A's on your report card. Here's a cookie. It was a good job. That's it. And better be glad you didn't get an F. I don't know. Where do we want to go now? I'm bored, y'all. I'm sorry. And it may do some of y'all some good. You can turn it on and listen to it while you're cleaning the bathtub or something. I don't know. But welcome to my world. The thing is, I'm waking up now. I go to sleep every winter. That's why you'll hear people talk about seasonal depression. Let me tell y'all, I believe it. I truly do. I do not function well during the winter months. And depending on where I am in my life at the time, that's going to affect whether it's worse or better. It's going to happen. I can count on it. And I didn't realize that until I started looking back and comparing. And every year since I can remember, it's happened. And it doesn't matter how well things are going, it's going to happen to some degree. Okay. I just know it's going to happen. And I'll have people tell me, well, you probably talked yourself into being depressed. Are you crazy? No, I don't get up in the morning and decide, okay, I'm going to be depressed today. Usually, how I woke up, where I wake up, the minute my feet hit that floor decides how I'm going to be the rest of that day, unless I do some major work in changing that. It's all about our attitude, right? And I'm telling y'all, there's times in this life it is very hard to keep a good attitude. And there's times I completely fail. There's times I have thoughts in my head that I'm ashamed to tell people. There's times that I have those thoughts that people would lock me up, whether it be in jail or in some kind of mental hospital, if they knew what my thoughts were at times. And it's okay to have them thoughts. We're human. We have emotions. What happens when it becomes a problem, when it becomes a condition or a disease, is when, as an adult, as a responsible adult, you enact those thoughts. You put those thoughts into action. Definition between sanity and insanity. I'm telling y'all, I have truly been mad enough in my life at someone to kill them. Truly, I have. I don't know many of us out there that haven't had those thoughts. Um, but I honestly, truly have been mad enough to kill someone. Doesn't matter what reason. I'll just tell you they were damn good reasons. But some people say, well, there's no reason. There's no reason to want to kill someone. Maybe in your books, because nothing that traumatic has ever happened to you. And you better thank your lucky stars that it hadn't, and that those thoughts don't cross your mind. Because most of us have had those thoughts. The thing that's going on nowadays is people aren't controlling them. And you can't tell me they don't know what they're doing. Okay? I just don't believe it. Psychology doesn't teach us that. Now, someone that is totally freaking insane, if they can get up in the morning, go down to the kitchen, make themselves a bowl of cereal, they know what they're doing, right? And the very next second, they're reaching over, grabbing a knife, wanting to stab their brother or sister. What is that? What makes them do that, huh? I don't know. That's psychology. What's been going on in that kid's life all along that made them possibly react that way or have those actions? Nowadays, bullying has been around forever. It really has. And you can go back to the thing of survival of the fittest. And I'm not trying to sound cold-hearted here. I'm just being honest. You got to toughen up. You just have to. This world will eat you, chew you up, and spit you out if you don't toughen up. You can't walk around whining all the time. Oh my, this and that happened. Oh, okay. That's why I get so mad at me. It's like, come on, look, Tammy, you can do better than that. It's okay. We're all going to fall down, and we can all feel sorry for ourselves for a little while and then get your ass back up and do something about it. And it is so hard sometimes. It really is. And with kids, come on. I just don't get it. Something is going on in their family life, in school. These kids that bully other kids, and some of the things they say are so hurtful. Some of them kids, I just want to choke them. It's like, how can you say those kind of horrible things? But then you have to stop and think what that child's heard. Why that specific child is that way. Maybe they're sitting there watching their mama stick a needle in their arm all day, or drunk all the time, or their dad beats them. Not telling them what's going on at home. But that still doesn't give them the right to bring that gun to school and shoot up their classroom. Right? Deep thoughts, people. And people, even my own mother, she'll say, Tammy, you can't change the world. Stop trying. And I know she only tells me that because she cares about me and what it does to me, because I will sit and I will just literally put the entire weight of the world on my shoulders. What can I do? What can I do? I can't do anything by myself. I cannot save this world by myself. This is why I like my other witches. Together we can do it. Together we can at least do our part. You know, nothing, it's not all going to be changed. It's not all going to be fixed. Look at the history of the world and people in general. They're always at war over something. They're always fighting over something. And it's usually pretty damn dumb. You know, there's no reason for it except for notoriety. Which country's the best? Which can outdo? I'll tell y'all something. We got these bombs and shit being built. Nobody's going to win. Yeah, congratulations, idiots. All you've managed to do is blow up our Earth, destroy our beautiful Earth. Now, how are we all going to live? Because y'all were so damn smart. Right? I get so aggravated. I really do. There's so much going on in this world right now, guys. There is so much. All the shootings, everybody flipping the hell out. The blacks against the whites, the Indians against the whites, and, you know, all this crap should not be happening. It's we're doing nothing but making it even harder to exist here. You know, I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're an Indian. I don't care if you're Chinese. I don't care what ethnicity you are, what color you are. As long as you treat me well, as long as you are a good person, I don't care. I don't care. I don't know. So I guess what we all need to do when we get up in the morning, not that a lot of us have time to think about that, people that have lives, and in every thought of your day, how can I be a better person? You know, how can I take better care of my body, of my own mental health, so that I'll be a productive member of society? What can I do to make myself feel better? Therefore, I make other people feel better, because I'm telling you, you can't. You know, I, like me, you know, it helps to talk. And I think that's a lot of times why I get on here. It helps to talk. You know, you feel like you're getting things out off your chest. And it does. I've been on here for 2 hours just rambling, right? Nobody wants to listen to it. They don't have to. But it's there. It's there because I've put it out there and I've gotten it off my chest. And I think a lot of times in this world, people just need someone to talk to, you know? And I think a lot of this conditioning that's going on with our children nowadays, you have to be careful, you know? And I'm not saying don't get, I'm going to insert something else in here. Not every child that grows up to be a mass murderer had a bad childhood, okay? It's like with your health, like I was talking about earlier with your heart attack. You can exercise and do everything all day long right, eat right, and you still have a heart attack. Okay? Same with raising a child. You can instill the best values in them. They know right from wrong. Most 5-year-olds know right from wrong, people. It's just inbred into us. Okay? You can do whatever, give them everything in the world, do whatever you can for them, and they still, something is just not triggering right in their head. Something's not clicking right. Some of them are just spoiled. Stop giving your kids everything. I know we want to. Make them work. Make them earn things, because they're going to grow up thinking that it's just supposed to be given to them. Right? I would have loved to hear anybody tell my daddy None of us kids would have. Well, where's my cell phone? I don't know. Where is it? At the store, probably. He'll just look at you. If cell phones were around when I was growing up, I don't care if the next door kid does have one. It doesn't mean I got to get you one. My only job is to put a roof over your head and to feed you and clothe you until you're 18. I don't even have to hug you if I don't want to. That's true. So, what it boils down to is whenever you become of age, you're responsible for your own things, right? Granted, most of us want to give our children what we can. But the most important thing to give your child is something money can't buy. And that's respect for themselves, others, and to be kind. If you hear your kid bullying another one, do something about it. I don't have all the answers. And believing me, I sit and I contemplate the answers. How can I this? How can I put something, my little opinion, out in this big, huge world? And then there's that redneck part of me. You know, if it's one thing I can honestly say, I can survive. I can fit into the world, go put my makeup on, let my hair down, totally look like a whole different person. And if y'all ever see me on here actually all fixed up, you won't even think it's really me. I can transform and I can fit in with the best of the people sitting around a fancy dining room table. Or I can have my shorts on, my hair up, flip flops, and eating at a picnic table, and I'm just fine. I'm very versatile because I've been raised in different areas in my life in those situations. But at the core, we are still who we are, right? I mean, if you're that spoilt, yucky bitch, pardon my language, but that's true. You see these that just ooze yuck. It's like, wow, that girl really thinks her shit don't stink, right? We've all seen them. But I guarantee you, they have their own issues. You just don't know. Maybe you can't tell what they are on the outside because they've spent so much on plastic surgery. There's nothing real about them anymore except that little part of them that's real inside of them, and they deal with it every day. And I know this. I know this for a fact. They're human too. They just have more money and they need more things to clarify their existence, to assure them whatever it is, whatever it is. There's just so many different types of people. So we have clans. That's why, birds of a feather flock together. You hang around people that you relate to. Some of us don't have anyone. I don't. Never have. Um, could be because, other people freak me out or I'm not sure what they're doing or what, I'm a little paranoid. I don't know. I have my really good friends. Don't hardly ever see them anymore, but um, I'm just one of those people that, I'm friendly to everyone, or I try to be. Um, I'm too honest sometimes. And I really don't mean to hurt people's feelings. I don't. But I'm not going to sugarcoat stuff either. I'm not that one. Um, I'm comparing myself to the beautiful goddess, but she's that way, I'll do whatever I can to help you. And I want everyone to succeed and get along and be happy. I want that perfect picture world. We just know it's not ever going to happen, right? I'm more of a realist and I'm very honest. Um, Sometimes we all have to whine. Sometimes we all get down. God knows that. Goddess knows I've done it. I mean, here lately, I just feel like, damn, when is it going to be my turn? And I think we all feel that way. These are human thoughts. Unfortunately, we all have them. It's like I deserve that. I'm a good person. Why don't good things happen to me? Why do I always have to be the one getting stomped on and, you know, homeless? And why can't I have that pair of shoes? Why can't I afford just to buy a new pair of nursing shoes? Little things, just every day stuff that happens in life. And it helps to have friends. It helps to have people to talk to, but you need to surround yourself with those type of people that are good influences on you. That person that's selling you that dope, those aren't good people. And even they might have their own good qualities. You can always find something good in everyone. Well, maybe there's those rare few that just are just completely yuck. But most people, when you get down to their core, we're all made up of the same thing, you know? And some people just don't give a damn who they hurt to achieve their goal. Those are your drug dealers. I don't talk about your little minuscule person that's selling that on the street somewhere. They got it from somewhere and it goes higher up. Okay. And those people that are responsible for producing this stuff that are killing our children, to you. Well, I better just stop right there. Because that is something that's been going on forever too, and it won't change until each one of those individuals decide to stop killing people. And that's what they're doing. They're inadvertently killing people. See what I'm saying? There's so many things in this world to worry about, especially now. It's gotten completely out of control. So those of us that are in-depth thinkers like this, as witches that are burdened, I'm sorry, it's true. Sometimes it's a burden being a witch, being a true witch. The ones that we are trying to do our jobs. This is our job. It should be everybody's job to take care of this earth and the people and bring harmony. We're fighting a losing battle, right? But you know what? It's one worth fighting. Be that person that's honest. Be that person that will stand up to that drug dealer and say, no, I don't want that crap. Be that one. If you're a young adult and in school and that someone is not as well off as you, don't have the best clothes on, don't have the best shoes on, talk to them. Don't make them feel like they're less than you. Because let me tell you, just because you have a better pair of shoes on than they do does not make you a better person. How much money and materials, possessions that you have does not make you better than the person next to you. Just makes you more flashy. Makes you, and if you act shallow, you're just, money cannot buy you a personality or morals. I don't know. That is just something you could preach about forever. And, every once in a while it may help somebody and somebody may go, yeah, she's right. That's what I count on. A million people may hear me, and if 2 people out of those million help, it's a start. It's a start. It's more people than that cared about it yesterday. 2 more people. No, we got to fix it somehow. I think of my granddaughters and my grandsons growing up right now. All these school shootings and things that are going on, it just scares me to death. Because as tender-hearted as I am, and as loving as I try to be and compassionate to other people, I don't even want to know or think about what I'd do if somebody hurt one of my kids. I'm sure my life would probably be over because I'd be taking some people out. Or that's what I think I would do. Just thinking about it, when you think about something like that, it's like, oh my God. Let's just hope we don't ever have to deal with it. But just imagine there are parents out there that are having to deal with it. And to them, I say, I am so extremely sorry. And I just can't even imagine, I'm sure their feelings are all over the place. Mine are, and I ain't even actually had it happen to me. Thank goodness. You're afraid to let your kids go to school nowadays. It's just gotten completely out of control. So, don't get me wrong. I love looking at pictures of the galaxies, and I love the fact that our astronauts are going to space and we're discovering new galaxies and exoplanets, and all in the name of science and the progression of man. But at our core, at our level, look at it. It's chaos, isn't it? We can send a man to the moon, but we can't figure out how to stop kids from killing each other, or how to stop your local druggie from selling and polluting all our children. Is it because we don't know how? Is it because we're not focused on what's more important? Is it because we just don't care? I don't know. And I'll tell you, after a while of feeling like you're the only one that gives a damn, it kind of makes you stop caring too. It's almost like you just get tired of it. It's like, well, I don't know why I care. I can't fix it. So what do? We just try to take care of ourselves and our own. Which in the long run, if everybody actually did that, then everything would be okay, wouldn't it? If everybody took care of their own families, their own worlds, and tried to do and be the best they could. Then we'd have it made, wouldn't we? I don't know. I don't have the answers. Just deep thought processes. I don't know. I was about to say, how about if we do nothing? But I already got one challenge going on, and that's to lose this damn weight. But on a lighter note, see, I can get pretty deep. That's why I don't like to sit and think a whole lot for any long period of time anyway, because sometimes, guys, I honestly sit here and I think about some of this stuff until I'm just mad. I am truly just mad. I'll think about well, y'all seen the little journey I just went on. You know, I start from one thing and here we are. So, I mean, this is how I think all day long. Not quite this in depth, but I get pretty out there sometimes, and that's fun. And at least it's subjects that we need to address. A lot of people don't want to go down that rabbit hole just simply because it's a pain. And it's so hard to figure out. And you're right, you feel like you just can't do anything about it. I'll tell y'all another thing while I'm on this session. I'm one of those people, if you get sentenced to death, you should die. Okay. I'm just one of those people. Our court system needs to stop being so damn lenient. Okay. I understand, trust me, I took government politics. I got awards in those. And my minor in college was government and politics. I know about that very much so. They want to give everybody that chance. And yes, there are people that have been convicted that were not guilty. I understand that. No system is infallible. But I'm telling you, when their appeals are out, which, our appeal process is just outrageously stupid. Okay. Sometimes up to 10 years of court systems. Do y'all know how much that costs? Do you know how much one trial costs? Do some research on that. They're all different, and I'm not even talking what the judge is getting paid or the attorneys. Just what taxpayers are putting into that trial, okay? That is carried out for a year at least. It's ridiculous. I listen to a lot of stuff online, some of these trials that are going on right now, and some of these questions that these attorneys ask over and over and over, they just seem so stupid. It's like, what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? What does that question have to do with this court, with this session right here, right now? But it's all those little things that add up to, you get in there, get it done. They talk about a speedy trial. Since when? That person's guilty, prove it, get them out of there. And stop giving everybody life all the time. I guarantee you, if our punishments were more harsh, they'll sentence you to death. You'll be on death row for 30 years. That's not death. If you're sentenced to death, you should die the next day. Okay? That's just the way I feel about it. If people are so sure that you were guilty and you done this horrific thing, and it had to have been something pretty damn horrific for you to get the death penalty. Why does my tax money have to feed you? You know, the United States is the only state or the country that does this crap. We are so lenient, and that's why we have so much crap going on. You don't see this shit going on in these other countries because they don't put up with it. Okay. You do some of this crap over there, you just get caught stealing, they'll chop your damn hand off. There's no stealing over there, is there? People don't act like they do here. They get away with everything here in America. They truly do. You go out there, you murder some poor little girl, rape her. The horrible things that get done. And you get caught. You damn sure should not breathe my air. And people say, well, we need to be humane. No. Nope. I don't have to be crap. You know, it seems pretty funny to me that, they'll serial killer that finally gets caught, and they're so worried about their damn feelings. I have to breathe here because I do get fired up. I know I do. You can sit here all night and do this, huh? Think about things until it just fires you up, gets your blood pressure up. And this is what I do. And I'm not the only one. Just because I might be one of the very few that come on here and say these things to you, everybody's thinking the same thing. And I think a lot, I'm not condoning any sort of bad behavior like this, believe you me. But I can understand why all that crap happened with the White House and our senator. And I could see where people are so mad and aggravated and fed up with the system. I'm honestly afraid for our country. I'm one of those true American patriots. I am afraid of what's going to happen in our own country because we have all these people that are in power that don't know their head from a hole in the ground. And some of them are truly so old, I don't even know how they get out of bed and go to the bathroom by themselves every morning, much less sit there and rule how my life's going to be that day. What do you do? It's supposed to be we the people, right? Well, we see where that's gotten us. I ain't going into all the politics. I ain't going down that road. But when you look at the entire picture, it's chaos. What it is you try to figure out what is causing the chaos, and then truly, you can't just pinpoint one thing. There's so much. I can't think of anything right now that's going on in this world that's good. Can you? Anything that's going smoothly, honestly, right off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. It's all crazy. So, needless to say, it affects our personal lives. When you go out in the world and you work all day and you have to deal with everybody else that's in a bad mood because this world's gone to shit. And you come home and you bring that home to your family, right? And your kids went to school all day, and all they hear is, they're trying to dodge the drug dealers and the kids that are walking around with guns and stuff like that. And then they get home, they've been stressed out. They're too young to have that much stress. They don't even know how to deal with that right now. They're not that mature. Um, then they come home and mom and dad are fighting because dad had a bad day, mama had a bad day. This negative energy is everywhere. People wipe their shoes off at the door. Why not do this at the door? Before you all get together and in your safe spot, that stuff seeps in, and you allow it to. Take a deep breath. Try to have your family time, good times that those kids are going to remember as they grow up and hopefully will pass on to their own children. This comes from my own experience. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you every gory detail I've seen growing up, but I'm telling you I did. I've seen a lot of bad things, and I'm not saying my kids' lives were perfect, but I tried really hard to make sure that they didn't see any of that. That um, things were a little different, and hopefully they'll do the same with their kids. And I've started something that eventually one day will be awesome in my family, in my line. But it had to start somewhere, right? And this stuff going on, um, another girl I was talking to here the other day. Um, this physical, sexual abuse, these doctors and people will say that, well, if it happened to you, you're going to do it to your children. No, I disagree. I will call all of you a liar. Okay. No, that is not 100% fact and truth. Okay. Just because a child, it can happen. The odds are very good that it would happen because that's the way they were brought up. That's what they know. But there are children out there that will turn it around and go, no, that's not right. I'm not going to be that way. And they're not. They don't sexually abuse their own children, and they don't physically or mentally abuse them. Okay? Just know that is not always 100% the truth. I just threw that in there because of a conversation I had the other day with this girl. Anyway, told you I get pretty deep, but I guess I'll get off here. I'm rambling, but it's kind of nice to take a break from playing my games for a little bit and my own thought processes. So getting it out helps me. In other words, make a long story short. Once again, if any of y'all have any questions that you'll ask me as a witch or just human being, if you just want to talk. Now, I'm not saying I can answer a million emails every day. I can't. But I will try very hard to be here for you if you just need someone to talk to. Because sometimes that's all it takes. You know, a lot of times people are asking for money or what anybody can give them. They're just wanting to know that they can vent and vent safely, and can't afford to pay a psychiatrist to do that or a psychologist. You know, I'm not a this big huge professional. I go by life experience, and I have no degree in psychology. You know, some things you just don't learn out of a book. I know some psychologists that never had really an issue in their damn lives. They go be a psychologist because they want to do this and they have all these good things in their mind, and they've never experienced any kind of trauma in their own world. So how would they know how that person feels? All they go by is what the scientists before them put on paper, put in books. You know, you do have those ones nowadays that are really studying and getting things done, but most of them, you know, they just know what they've learned in school, and there's no human factor in there, if that makes sense to you. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But then that's how a lot of us start out, you know, until we get in there and get our hands dirty and really get down to the nitty gritty of things. You don't know what that feels about until you're in it. But anyway, I guess I'll go. I was trying to hang on a little bit, see if any of my girls were on here, but there is another video that I want to do, and now that since I'm in the mood for it tonight for some reason, but I may come back on here in a minute after I get all my other stuff together and do it. We'll see. I don't want to do too much at once and bore y'all, but anyway, I'm sure we've all had these same thoughts, just random, you know. And it's kind of nice to know that you're not the only one. I know we all think sometimes, that was a scary thought, or why am I thinking that? Am I weird? No, you're not weird. You're human. You know, they're everybody, I assure you, at one time or another, pretty much has had the same thoughts, just because we're all the same species, okay? But I love you guys. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I appreciate you. And thank you to my new subscribers. I noticed I have several. I really appreciate you. I hope I can help in some way. Okay. Love you guys. Ta-ta.